Yeah, so thank you so much. My name is Mateusz. Some of you may know me. I'm trying to make e-commerce faster for everyone. So I hang out in like different spaces when it comes to like Shopify. But yeah, I'm in Michael's and Estella's team. There's also Dan with us. We are in the growth services. I don't know like how would we call ourselves this day, but I guess web performance consultants or expert would work. And yeah, I'm super happy to be here, and I'll be like telling you a little bit about the speculation rules and at Shopify, why we decided to like implement them, what they are in general, and probably like I'll be able to share some things on like how to do them faster than we did because it's been 398 days and we are still not exactly there 100%, but we'll talk about that a little bit. So yeah, cool. Without the further ado, so I wanted to take you through this whole journey that we had. As you could see, like it took us over a year. So I want you to like understand the whole thing, like how it happened, and like I want you to I want to take you through the steps of like implementing speculation rules in a better way than we did at first, and hopefully in a similar way as we are doing right now. So first of all, with speculation rules, I think it's super important to understand the capabilities, what they are, what they enable you to do. And basically, like when we are talking about speculation rules, we are talking about a bunch of JSON. This is a configuration that you can provide to the browser either by this nice script tag with this type speculation rules or via a header that points to a JSON file that is not really a JSON, but it has its own MIME type. But anyway, it's a JSON file, and in this JSON file you have a few things. So first of all, you can tell the browser what it should do. And here we have two options. We have either a prefetch, and we'll talk about a little bit what they exactly mean in a second, or we have a pre-render. You can mix and match them, and in general, this is like true for pretty much everything that I'm going to talk about. Like you can have different rules, different strategies. Some of them they can be like happening at the same time. It's pretty much up to you what you want to tell the browser what it can do. So first of all, like what it should do, what is the action it should take. The second thing is like what kind of links can it load, right? So what we are because I didn't tell you. I don't know if I mentioned that, but like basically you have the power to tell the browser that it's like, hey, you can try to figure out where people are going to do, what kind of links they are going to click, and you can do a bunch of things with this knowledge. So first of all, we can see that it can either prefetch or pre-render. I'll get back to that in a sec. Then we can tell it what kind of links you can look into. And here we can either match against the specific href tag, so like the URL. We can also point to specific selectors. And here we can also match different rules. Like, and in this case, we say, okay, you can like prefetch everything except those two things, which is super powerful, right? You can also, like, if you want to be super safe or super deliberate, you can also provide a specific list of the URLs that you want the browser to handle in a specific way. And last but not least, we have different eagerness levels. So this is where we tell the browser how aggressive it should be. When should those things happen? In this case, we have conservative and moderate. And again, you can have different eagerness levels happening for different types of links depending on what you want to do. Um, but the second step, once we know, okay, this is just a bunch of JSON, is that we need to learn the trade-offs. And there are like two sides of this coin when it comes to speculation rules. And the first one is about the eagerness. So as I said, the eagerness controls how aggressive the browser is. And the more eager you want the browser to be, the earlier basically it will trigger requests to try to like cache those future pages so that when the user actually clicks on the link, they're hopefully already in the cache and are happening super fast. So the most like conservative option is conservative, and this is where the request will happen on pointer down. So I touch a link or I press on a mouse, and before I release, like lift my finger or release the mouse button, the browser is already making a request. And believe it or not, there are a few milliseconds you can save by doing something like that. And I have the numbers for that on my later slides. But this is pretty much the most, like the safest option. Like someone already like pressed on a link, and yes, you can bail out of that. Like you can swipe somewhere else and cancel that, but it doesn't happen that often. So in this case, like we are quite sure someone will probably visit that link because their fingers already like pointing to that. But we can go more aggressive if we want. If we want to save even more time, if we want the probability that something will be in the cache to be even higher, and we have the moderate. With moderate, we the browser will already trigger the request behind the scenes on hover. So if I hover on a link, if I have a mouse, if I don't, so I'm on mobile, it's still pointer down, unfortunately. So there's no magic happening on mobile where the browser is trying to figure out what you're going to click. Will still here with the pointer down. So any potential gains will only be applicable for desktop here. And the third thing, there are actually like two additional options, immediate and eager, but at this time they mean pretty much the same. They are not different. We are still waiting for the actual like implementation that will be different between them. And it basically says, okay, as soon as possible, you can. So as soon as you see you have this bunch of speculation rules and you see those links on the page, you can start acting on them in a way that we told you to. Um, super super powerful and can lead to huge improvements. But the thing that you need to remember is that the more eager you go, the bigger the gains will be, but you're also risking the probability that someone will be getting a stale content. So you can imagine a situation when I'm scrolling through the page on mobile and all of those like product pages, let's say on a collection page, keep getting added to the cache. I add something to the cart, and then I decide to go to that product where at that point my like cart bubble may be out of date, for example. And unless you know like how to handle that, you're risking your users getting just a stale content, something that is not up to date because it was added to the cache earlier. So this is one of the trade-offs that you need to balance. The second thing is that you can do more or less work upfront. And this is what those like types of actions come into play. We have the basic prefetch, which basically means, hey, like you can go and fetch that HTML earlier and add it to the cache. This will be like a memory cache, so it's going to be super fast. And that's it. The browser doesn't do anything else. It just like fetches the HTML behind the scenes and adds it to the cache. But you can do more. You can tell the browser to pre-render the whole page behind the scenes and as a hidden page. And this like is super powerful as well because you can have like instantaneous navigation thanks to that. So let's say I'm scrolling through the page, all of those pages get pre-rendered. I click on the link, and in like a split like few milliseconds, the whole page changes. Super fast and super powerful, especially when you have page transitions as well. Everything morphs nicely. But like in this case, the trade-offs can be even more severe because like yes, you can make those navigations instant, but at the same time you can break your analytics. Pre-rendering a page means that everything that normally would happen on that page happens unless all of the scripts are aware of the fact that that the page can be pre-rendered. Well, they will fire all of the analytics, will fire, will get a normal page view despite someone never seeing this page, for example, because it's like somewhere hidden and it's waiting to be activated. So the whole thing about this step is making sure that you're figuring out, okay, how much do we want to risk by serving the stale content? How much can we make sure that, like, if the page is actually being activated, we update these things if we want to? And then how well do we control the scripts on the page to make sure that they are actually aware that the page may be pre-rendered, so they handle that as well. And there are some JavaScript APIs to do so, to listen, to check whether the page is being pre-rendered, and then listen for the activation phase as well. So that's one of the first steps. The third steps is remembering the gotchas, and this is all of the things that, like, got us. This is like basically everything that went, I guess, wrong, or like not in an ideal way, or just were a surprise for us when we were implementing the speculations. So first of all, when you think about I guess we are pretty like used to the fact that, like, not all of the features are available in all of the browsers, right? You use some new thing as like a progressive enhancement, and you're like, okay, like we will just like do. And in this case, this is like your Chromium based browsers. But at the same time, you need to understand that, like, yes, this is a cool thing, but it's only going to impact a specific subset of your users. So first of all, we are talking about the same site navigations. So everybody just visited a single page and left. They will never use your speculation rules because there was nothing that they visit, like there were no links that they clicked. Then you actually need a Chromium browser right now. I think Mozilla, like Firefox, is actually like working on something like that. I guess at least the response was positive, I think. So we may have that in Firefox in the future. Safari, I don't think we're getting anything there right now. And so, like, this is a little bit frustrating when you see the general gains, because like for us in our data, we can actually see that like only 35% of all of the page views that we see on the platform were ever prefetched with the speculation rules. And we make sure that like pretty much like all of the pages that you want, that you can visit, and a lot of people are visiting, can be prefetched. But at the same time, the fact that it has to be a same site navigation, has to be a Chromium based browser, we only see that for the 35% of all of the page visits. On mobile, it's even worse. And this is where Safari comes in and like takes the biggest chunks for us, because it's only 9%, right? So you need to keep it in mind. It's a super cool technology, but it's only going to impact a subset of your users, just to manage the expectations. The second thing that bit us real hard is that like speculations, they can actually cache your non-cacheable responses. So if you made any assumptions that like, hey, I'll just send a cache control, private, no cache, whatever, and be done with it, well, speculations don't care. As long as a specific link matches your configuration, the browser will just ignore that and keep it in a cache for 5 minutes until somebody uses that. And the only way to prevent that is to actually, so you can, with speculation rules and prefetching in general, you can tell that those kind of requests, like that, they are coming from a browser that's prefetching something. You have headers to identify that, and in order to prevent the browser from caching this one, you actually need to return an error response. Otherwise, we'll be getting like the browser will just be caching the content. And the second thing is that like everything that you remembered with like link rel prefetch, and I don't know if you're familiar with like solutions like instant.page and this kind of things. Um, it works the completely like the opposite way right now. So previously the link rel prefetch used to ignore the cache headers. Now it doesn't, but speculation rules do. And like previously, the link rel prefetch like didn't require the error responses, and it still doesn't, but the speculation rules do. So you need to like get rid of all of the assumptions that you had and read through all of the like rules and things that there are for speculation rules, to make sure that you're not breaking anything on your end. For example, caching the cart contents, or some routes that shouldn't be cached, like we probably did. Um, and yes, with any new technology, there are some bugs, and if multiply that by the size of our platforms and platform and the different things that people implement, you really can stumble upon a huge amount of bugs. And it's like nothing strange for us because like our user base and the fact that every single store is pretty much 90% of somebody's code, you get really, really strange cases. For example, like our navigation timings in the beginning were totally off. Like the time to first byte that we were collecting in our run data, it would just like didn't make sense. So we had to raise that as a bug. It was fixed. Then it turned out that the browser will completely hang if you're prefetching a link that the script is removing on a click. I'm not sure if you would remove a link when someone clicks on that, and when would that even be useful, but someone implemented that and broke their store. So again, we had to raise a bug, and this is where we had to wait for 6 months for the browsers to update before moving forward. We also recently learned that like post requests can be speculated upon, although they shouldn't. I think that we even caused the folks to add explicit thing to the specification itself that no, you should not speculate on post requests because you can be, for example, by accident redirected to the checkout, and you probably don't want to do that by accident. Um, but yeah, and on the other hand, all of those things are either already fixed or the fix is already merged and is waiting to be released. So I don't see any downside to that. Apart from that, we just had to spend a bit more time in testing, and our weekends weren't like super calm sometimes. But apart from that, it was okay. Um, and last but not least, you should really limit the routes that you let the browser prefetch. It's super tempting to go with this initial configuration that I show you, just prefetch all of the links. Oh, maybe except logging out and adding the product to the cart. No, don't do that. Like this is like the configuration that I came up with because I thought, oh, that we have so many routes on our platform. I will never be able to collect all of them, but I know that like, okay, those are the specific ones that we definitely shouldn't like load behind the scenes, like the link that logs you out. Okay, that's obvious. But then over time, the product is being developed, like new routes are being added, and like out of the sudden you lose the ability to catch everything. And again, you have teams coming to you saying, hey, like our thing is broken, please disable that and fix it. So it's better, I think, to understand, okay, what are the routes that we definitely want to prefetch? We are okay with loading earlier and just creating that list, just to be safer, just to have some like, calm weekends and evenings for yourself. Um, and this takes us to the final step. So just implement those. We are seeing like really nice improvements that I will talk about and in a sec. But like in the end, this is the configuration that we came up with, and this is like the current configuration that hopefully all of the Shopify stores will have. They already had them for a short amount of time, but we had to disable them again, redo the configuration a little bit, applying my last I think rule that I told you. But like in the end, you can see they look a little bit scary, but what we are pretty much doing, we are specifying different routes that we are okay with the browser prefetching. We went with the conservative eagerness because as I said, we can't really know what people are doing on their stores, and we want to be super safe. We will be releasing that to the entire platform, all of the Shopify stores. So we want to be really sure that it's going to be okay. And yeah, we are covering different also like localized routes. So this is where those like ZH hunts and all of those things are happening. Like this is all like you normally say like EN US and all of this stuff. So this is like a normal localized prefix. And Yeah. So to the fun stuff, this is the impact that we're seeing. This is the improvements that we're seeing. I like the metrics. So you probably saw those these types of charts on Estella's presentation just a few minutes ago. So this is an overview of all of the percentiles. Right, we like as performance people, we usually look at the 75th percentile. So it's, I guess it's here. Yep. Between the 17 and 80 point. But like that way we can plot all of the percentiles. And what you can see is here is that not only the improvement is across all of the percentiles, which is great. There seems to be no catch with this one. And we're seeing around like 150 milliseconds, a median improvement, but it also like translates to all of the metrics. Right there's like no bottleneck. Like it seems like as long as you make the time to first byte faster in this case, it also translates nicely to first contentful and largest contentful pane, which is great because we were, for example, afraid that it's not going to translate that well because there will be other bottlenecks at play. What's interesting as well, I don't know if you remember, but the conservative eagerness, um, it triggers on pointer down, right? So we are taking the advantage of the time that it takes you to like press on something and then release it. And what's interesting is that on desktop, it takes people around 130 milliseconds on median. But on mobile, it's slower. It's 155. So, but for us, it's great because like mobile devices are usually slower. So it's good that it takes you more time to tap on something than it takes you to click on something. And this is the improvements that we're seeing, basically. So this is like we are super happy with that, and we are getting that almost for free, basically. um so what's next for us, and what do we want, like where do we want to take this? So first of all, as I said, we want to actually like release it to 100% of stores, and we want this 100% to stay there. Hopefully we like ironed out all of the bugs, and I'm looking at the off nodding here, because we took it through a lot of iterations. So yeah, learn from our mistakes. um and we want to explore more aggressive eagerness. There are a few things that we are looking for and we are waiting to happen first. So in order to avoid serving stale content, there's this like one thing that's being worked on, which is the clear site data header that you can return in your response to tell the browser that it should clear some of the, for example, caches. And right now, in order to clear get rid of all of the pages that were prefetched, you need to clear the entire cache, which is not optimal. But the part that's being worked on is this prefetch cache part, where, for example, for us, when someone adds something to the cart, as a response to this cart Ajax call, we can say, okay, clear all of the prefetch caches because you just modified the cart. So we don't have to care about like serving stale content or updating the card in the on the front end side in JavaScript, because we don't own that JavaScript, but we own all of the roots and Ajax APIs that handle it. So this will give us a huge amount of safety and will maybe let us like push it a little bit further. Um, we are quite confident that we will never do any platform-wide pre-render, simply because we can guarantee that like all of the scripts that people have on their stores and all of the analytics are ready for pre-rendering, and we don't want to get into like issues with analytics. Our merchants rely on analytics heavily. They make business decisions based on that, and we want to make sure that it actually works. We are not like over reporting, for example, the amount of page views because we decided to pre-render a lot of pages, but no one actually visited them. But since we can still go a little bit more aggressive, want to go with a little bit more aggressive. Maybe we can do something in between. So maybe like not only prefetch, but like prefetch with like scanning for possible resources so they can be downloaded earlier without executing any JavaScript, maybe doing some additional work. We are exploring that with the browser folds, like what would be even doable in this space, something in between the prefetch and prerender. We used to have like a non-state prefetch, but it's in like this weird limbo. But we'll see. Um, and the second thing is that like it would be cool to have like some more sophisticated method than like just the strategies than just like moderate. And because right now the eagerness is like, yeah, just either like uh, pretty much like you have the pointer down and then everything else is desktop. Because like you get the hover and then you get just like, okay, prefetch everything or like pre-render everything. It would be great if we had some like more sophisticated methods, especially for mobile. When I don't know, when someone stares like stops over the link or something, the browser would um trigger a request so we can gain even more than those 150 milliseconds. And we need to gain more if you want to do more things. Because this is something that I didn't mention, but like if you look here, like pretty much none of the percentiles are actually zero when it comes to the time to first byte. So it means that like in none of the cases we are able to uh, provide the HTML so it can be served from the cache. So it doesn't make sense to do more things because there are no requests that are able to do more things because no one got the HTML. They got the HTML faster, but not fast enough to do more things with that. In order to achieve that, we would have to bump the eagerness. But then we are back to the issues with caches and all of this stuff. Um, and last but not least, like it would be you remember like right now on mobile the biggest bottleneck when it comes to like actually providing the prefetching is Safari. But there are like the same, like I hope the Firefox will also implement that, because like the more people are able to implement it, like even with polyfills, for us it would be a clear win. So I would like to encourage all of the browsers to actually implement it. We have a question, yeah.
I'm wondering what is the threat to history, especially because we're Brazil, like
Hmm.
the eagerness without the running shots. So in the Biranga without journalistic with it t-shirt,
Yeah.
that's the two worlds, right?
Hmm.
And then once you get baseload, it doesn't have to.
Yep. So the problem here is inline scripts. What do you do about inline scripts?
We have answers for that.
Yeah.
The only problem is the load events. So you could essentially stop the parser first and like script,
Yeah.
but continue the preload scanner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, but
Yeah. Our idea was like free fetch plus preload scanner. But like it would give you a little bit more, but still like you would need to do all of the parsing of the scripts, like compiling of the modules and stuff after someone clicks. But like if we can do even more, that's better. But like as long as we are not executing any JavaScript, so things get more and more complicated. But we're trying to figure this one out as well. And yeah, we're definitely like eager to have this kind of conversations, because like it would be great if we can achieve something like that. Done?
how much waste is there if you're requesting all these pages and they never get seen?
Yeah.
Still have the server load
Yeah.
processing.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I didn't include that. So for the conservative eagerness, there's pretty much none, because you're like it's pretty much 100% of 100%, like more or less. For the moderate eagerness, it will depend on the content, but we're seeing between 20 to even 40% of requests being wasted. Comparing our server side data with the front end data and the amount of requests that we're seeing, between 20 to 40%. It's going to depend on the type of the page and the amount of links that you're going through. Like on the, let's say on the collection page, you have product links one below another. So as you're scrolling, you're naturally hovering over them. On different type of pages, you may just be hovering over less, like, less, yeah, basically. So it's going, but it's between 20 to 40%. we don't have enough data points to check like the immediate. So this is we don't know. The good news is that, and this is also what Barry like mentions, he's like a huge advocate for speculation rules, is that like um yeah, you need to take care about the server load time. So this is where like the infrastructure piece is at play. But like usually the HTML responses are quite lightweight in terms of the size compared to everything else that you have on the page, like scripts, images, and stuff. HTML is relatively lightweight. But yeah, yeah.
So let you know, I'm part of are implementing speculation.
Okay. I'm not going to ask about any like ETAs, but super happy. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Please do. Because like so ship it. Fiddle with that. This is like a progressive enhancement. I don't see any downsides of like even implementing the um conservative eagerness on the links that you know are safe to be prefetched. This is a really great guide. It will walk you through all of the gotchas, so make sure you actually read through it. And you also have a really good documentation of the on the MDN as well. That like documents all of the syntax, all of the different things, because like the example that I provided, it's like there are more things that you can specify, more rules that you can add as well. So definitely ship it. I'm like, we are seeing 150 milliseconds. You know, having 150 milliseconds and not having 150 milliseconds, that's already 300 milliseconds, as I like to say. So yeah, ship it. And yeah, thank you so much.